Welcome to Epida Studio. My name is Elizabeth, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Sarah's Choice quilt block. So this is a really nice block. It has these flying geese around the edge and a pinwheel in the middle, which makes this fun little star pattern. And this is the fourth block in the Twinkle Star Quilt. So if you're following along with that, then these are the instructions. You can check the link below for more information about this quilt pattern and quilt along. So to make this quilt, you're going to need 4 background squares of 3.5 inches. A lot of times in quilts, the background is light and the feature fabrics are dark and medium. In this case, I've switched it up and I'm using a darker background fabric. You're also going to need 4 flying geese units. Now there's a lot of different methods for flying geese, and you can use whatever's your favorite one, but be warned, there's a popular one that makes 4 at a time. In this situation, you cannot use that block because we have one triangle is fabric 1 and one triangle is fabric 2. And if you use that method, these units will end up on different sides. And for this block, you need all of the darks on one side, all of fabric 1 on one side, and all of fabric 2 on the other side. You need them all to be the same. Now, one idea might be if you're going to make 2 blocks, then you could use the 4 at a time method twice to make 8. And so then you will have 2 the same from each. So you could use it if you're going to make more than 1 block. But if you're only making 1 block, you can't use that method. Then the other thing you're going to need 4 3.5 inch half square triangles with fabric 1 and fabric 2. You can use whatever's your favorite method. I recommend the popular method where you have 2 squares and a diagonal line, stitch a 1/4 inch on each side. It makes 2 at a time and you need 4. So there's a link below that has a full tutorial on how to make the half square triangle units. So we have all the pieces. Let's go lay them out and see how they're going to go together. So when you're laying this block out, you might want to start with the flying geese. The flying geese go on north, south, east, and west. Normally I start in the middle and I work out, but in this case, the orientation of the half square triangles in the middle is dependent on these. So you want to put the half square triangles so that it is different colors touching. So you don't want this with the same colors. That's actually a different block, which is fun, but it's not this block. So you want different colors. And then the background corners. So here we have everything laid out. Double check that the pinwheel is the right way. Now we're going to construct the pinwheel first. So we're just going to stitch these together like a little 4 patch. We'll take that to the sewing machine and stitch that seam. So when you're stitching, you want to have an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance. So before you begin your project, check to make sure you have an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I like to put this little tab here to help me get everything lined up. You can't always rely on a 1/4 inch foot because even the width of your thread and your needle, whatever kind of fabric you have, that can affect your seam. So double check and use a little sticky note or a tab. When you're pressing these seams, press up and down just to set the seams and then lay them with the darker fabric up and press in that direction. That will press your seams toward that side. And because we press both of them toward the darker fabric, that means on this one, the seam's going this way, and in this one, the seam's going this way. So now, when we're going to join them together, you can see the seams just nest together nicely, and that will help it to line up as we sew it together. So now that we've stitched this middle seam, we're going to press that. But I'm actually going to press this seam open because there are so many layers of fabric in the middle there where all the pieces join up. That pressing it open will help alleviate some of the bulk, and it will be less of a big lump in the middle. So there's our pinwheel block. We'll just double check that it's still the right way. That looks good. So now you can see this is just like a 9-patch block. There's 3 pieces across, 3 pieces down. So we're just going to join it that way, join these 3 into rows, and then join the rows together. So to join those, I'm going to turn these over, align them, and then take them to the sewing machine to stitch this side. So here we have our pieces sewn into 3 rows. And one thing I did differently with the pressing is because this middle seam is pressed open, I was able to press the seams toward the inside. And so then that still is not a lot of bulk in there. The seams are going toward the inside. So these seams are pressed out toward the background squares. And I would do that even if the background square is a lighter color, because that will help us when we sew these together. We can see that the seams just bed up together nicely, and it really helps make it easier to stitch that together. So now we're just going to stitch on the top strip, stitch on the bottom strip, and then we're done our block. So once the 3 pieces have been stitched together, we just need to give it a final press, and then we're done. So here's the Sarah's Choice quilt block, and this is the 4th block in the Twinkle Sampler. So follow along with that, or this would be a beautiful block to use by itself in its own projects. It's 12.5 inches square, so it'll fit into a lot of different patterns. I hope you like this block. If you want more information about this or any other tutorials, patterns, and inspiration, check out epidastudio.com.